Welcome to Top Speed. My name is Christy, and today in our garage is the 2009 Jaguar XF. The XF is a fine line between a mid-sized luxury car and a sports sedan. The production version of the XF debuted at the 2007 Frankfurt Auto Show. In March of 2008 is when the deliveries of the XF began. What powers the sophisticated beast? A 4.2-liter V8 engine, mated to an automatic transmission knob, and steering wheel mounted paddle shifters for the more aggressive drivers. This engine produced up to 300 horsepower. With all this power comes a fuel economy of 16 city and 25 highway. The starting price for the Jaguar XF is $50,000 for the luxury trim, $56,000 for the premium luxury trim, and $64,500 for the supercharged. Our test vehicle has a price of $61,100 because it's a luxury trim and has the optional Bowers and Wilkins sound system, Cyrus satellite radio, 20-inch Selena wheels, and an advanced vision package. So now we have more details. Let's go outside with Miles and check it out.
Thanks, Christy. Now, this is the kind of car we love to have at top speed. It's not necessarily the fastest sports sedan, and it's not necessarily the most agile sports sedan, but what the 2009 Jaguar XF has is gobs and gobs and gobs of personality. To understand it a little better, let's look at the competition. The Germans do the sports sedans the best, that much we know. But let's look at personality. Let's start with Audi. Audi has a personality that's pretty good, but what it starts out with a conservative design, and every once in a while it throws us a little curve, and so it's a nice design, but it's not quite there yet. It's like the kid who plays hooky from class. He's naughty, but he's not quite in the cool club. Then there's poor BMW. Poor dear BMW has gobs and gobs and gobs of soul, but its personality has been killed in a Bangladesization. It's a bad word, but look it up. Now also, there's Mercedes. Mercedes has built a reputation on building what would basically be luxury tanks. And while though it's a good reputation to have, it's really tough sometimes to even know if Mercedes has changed a model on you. Now take a look at English design. It's just a beautiful, sleek design. And where it comes from is the detail. We start with the hood. There's a nice bump in the hood that gives the car almost a menacing nose. The lights, they look very cat-like. When Jaguar builds a car, it actually looks like a Jaguar. Also like a Jaguar, everything is nice and sleek. It's a sedan, but it looks like a coupe. You might have thought Mercedes CLS was the first one to do it, but no. Jaguar's been doing it throughout their entire history. A better way to think of Jaguar style is looking at it like buying a suit. With the German brands, it's like buying a nice brand name like an Armani or buying a Gucci, where when you buy a Jaguar, it's like going to the nice English gentleman around the corner. He's going to fit you up right and make sure everything looks good, and when you're done, you're going to have a design that very few people have, and you're going to know that the style really is in all the little details. But this isn't Jaguar's first attempt at a mid-size sedan. We had the S-Type before, and quite frankly, well, just like the XKs that we had before in our class, the S-Type was trying to go back into its history. It wasn't looking forward. This is a completely different design, you can tell. It might still have the same sort of underpinnings as the S-Type, but this is a brand new car. It looks perfect. It has that right idea. It's exactly what Jaguar wants. And now there's a design revolution on the outside, but we also have a real design revolution on the inside. Now, the interior is a place where Jaguars had trouble in the past, but they've really corrected everything. And we'll start with the headroom. To make a really nice, sleek body, it used to mean that they had to really lower the head, and yet felt kind of compact in their cars. Well, I don't know what Jaguar did, but they manipulated the body enough that we have plenty of headroom still. They really corrected this problem well. The other big problem Jaguars used to have were the interiors. It seemed like the designers spent all their time really just trying to make such a beautiful car that when they were finished with the exterior, they were so exhausted, somebody said, hey, wait a minute, you got to design an interior too. And those guys just said, geez, just throw them a radio, throw in some wood, and it'll take care of itself. You wound up with an interior that was, well, it was ergonomically complicated, it just didn't feel right. that's completely changed here. We've got the nice grippy wheel that we have from our XF. We also have the nav system that we have from the XF, and that acts as our whole command area. We get to do our navigation from there, we can do our radio, we can do all of our climate control, and we even got nice cooled seats out of there, and that's great in this hot weather. But the Jaguar's full of all sorts of little great personality bits, but the one we like the most is the start button. Why? Because the start button actually has a pulse. That's right, it's a car with a personality, and it has a pulse. And if you react to that pulse, one of our favorite things happens. You turn on the car, and that's when the air vents come out. That's when the gear shift comes out. It's like the car is saying hi to you. In a way, you can get into some cars and you can just sort of take off, or in a Jaguar, it's saying, hey, why don't we go for a drive? And who am I to deny it that pleasure? Now, in most sports sedans of today, you really get a whole bunch of adjustment. You can adjust the ride up and down so much, or so much shocks, so much dampering adjustment, that you can almost over-adjust and wind up with a ride you never wanted. But Jaguar takes a different approach. It's actually a very English approach. It's almost like they gave you a butler that says, don't worry about anything, sir. We know what we're doing. You just sit back and enjoy. And for the most part, they're right. Because you bought a sports sedan because it's a compromise. You might have wanted a supercar, but you need to carry around people or you need to carry around stuff. And if you're going to have passengers, you go over a bump in a supercar, and they might think you broke something. Well, in the Jaguar, you go over a bump and it goes over very gingerly. It's a very luxury ride. But don't think for a minute that that actually means that the ride itself is going to be very dampered. No. You know where you're at all times with this car. The steering is very precise and you know your limits. That's also a very good thing because, well, we've got a 300 horsepower 4.2 liter V8 engine. And it's a carryover from the S-Type, but there were no complaints in the S-Type, and there's certainly no complaints here in our XF. And, well, this sounds a little bit cheesy, but there's enough power and there's enough torque that this cat can really pounce. And I do mean that because when you hit the gas, you're going to get pinned to your back of your seat, and that's what you want in a sports sedan. In fact, this is everything you want in a sports sedan. It's a style of the outside, it's a style of the inside. Your passengers ride in comfort, but the ride itself for you, it has enough suave, it really is suave. And that's what makes you feel really good about spending $55,000 for a sports sedan.
Thank you, Miles. Well, that's all we have for today on the 2009 Jaguar XF. Tune in next time for our next test drive.